Shocking news. Apparently, teenagers aren't telling their parents about the risky stuff they do online, and the reason is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. A single night of poor sleep can raise your Alzheimer's-linked brain proteins by nearly 30%, and 4 people are currently 200 days into a 378-day mission where they're pretending to be on Mars, inside a 3D printed box in Houston. Consider this your daily detour. New side quest starts now. A study from the University of Central Florida looked at how teens and parents communicate, or don't, about risky online experiences. And the finding is basically, they don't. Teens rarely told their parents about sketchy things they encountered online, mostly because they were afraid of triggering a freakout, a big emotional reaction that would shut down any actual conversation and probably result in their phone being taken away. Here's the part that I think gets missed in how this story is actually covered. The teens wanted guidance. They weren't hiding things because they didn't care. They were hiding things because they'd learned that telling a parent often made the situation worse, not better. The researchers found that teens were significantly less likely than their parents to receive a situation as risky, which led to this disconnect where the parent would overreact to something the teen considered minor, making the teen even less likely to bring up the next thing. The practical takeaway from the researchers is pretty simple. If your kid brings you something uncomfortable, your job in that first conversation is not to freak out. That's it. The freak out is the thing that closes the door. Stay calm, ask questions, and you'll get more information and more trust than you would by reacting. And you can trust me because I have no kids. What's the biggest thing you managed to keep secret from your parents? Could be online, could be completely unrelated. I'm not limiting it to the internet. Yours might be funny, might be genuinely wild, might be something you're not entirely sure was a good idea. This is a safe space. Who am I going to tell?
You don't really want to know that. I do. Well, if you must pry, I must.
A new study confirms something researchers have been building towards for years. Just one bad night of sleep raises levels of beta amyloid, one of the 2 key proteins that build up in the brains of Alzheimer's patients, by 25 to 30%. That increase shows up in the cerebrospinal fluid within a single night. And it's not just the one protein. A week of poor sleep raises levels of tau, the other Alzheimer's hallmark protein, the one associated with the physical spreading of brain damage. And once tau starts spreading, it tends to keep spreading. The reason this happens is actually kind of elegant in a grim sort of way. During sleep, your brain essentially runs a garbage collection cycle. It flushes out the waste products that accumulate from a day of thinking and doing. Beta amyloid and tau are among those waste products. When you skip sleep, the garbage doesn't get taken out. It just sits there, and accumulates, and over time it clumps up. The good news, and believe it or not there is some, is that the researchers say the effect appears to be reversible with normal sleep. One bad night doesn't doom you. The concern is that chronic sleep deprivation, the kind that goes on for years, which is exactly the kind a huge percentage of working adults are dealing with right now. It would be a good idea to take a nap. I'll wait. I want to be clear, this isn't about hitting some magic 8-hour number. It's about actually giving your brain the window it needs to clean house, whatever that looks like for you. What's the most sleep-deprived you've ever been, and what did it actually do to you? Not the clinical version. What did it feel like? What did you notice? What slipped? I remember one year I realized the Thanksgiving weekend would be even longer if I didn't sleep. I was probably super grumpy, but I was otherwise fine.
This is Scotch, and I'm all Hasselhoffed out.
NASA has announced the crew of its CHEPA mission 2, which stands for Crew Health and Performance Exploration Analog, because NASA loves an acronym, just hit 200 days inside their simulated Mars habitat. 4 volunteers, Commander Ross Edler, Medical Officer Ellen Ellis, Science Officer Matthew Montgomery, and Flight Engineer James Spicer, have been living inside a roughly 1,700 square foot, 3D printed structure at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston since October 19th of last year. They've got 178 days left. The mission wraps on Halloween. The habit is called Mars Dune Alpha, which sounds like a band name. It has a simulated outdoor area with red sand for Mars walks, where the crew wears spacesuits and does geology and maintenance work. Everything inside is designed to mirror the actual constraints of a Mars surface mission. Limited supplies, equipment failures, communication delays that currently run about 22 minutes one way. Right now, the crew is in the middle of a 2-week simulated communications blackout, mimicking what happens when Mars moves behind the sun and gets cut off from Earth entirely. During this period, they're operating completely on their own, no ground support, just the 4 of them and whatever protocols they prepared in advance. The whole point of this is to figure out what actually happens to people over the course of a year of that kind of confinement, when people stop being polite and start being real, so that when NASA eventually sends humans to Mars for real, they'll have some data on what to expect and how to prepare for it, other than those movies where people go crazy. Being locked in a confined space with other people for over 200 days without actually getting to see Mars sounds like absolute torture. Of course, these 4 people actually volunteered for this, knowing exactly what they signed up for, and are presumably doing it because they believe in what comes after. It's genuinely admirable. I still wouldn't do it. What's the longest you've been confined with the same people, and how did it go? Could be a family road trip, a deployment in the military. A lot of us had that going on during quarantine in 2020. Could be a situation you'd rather not name. What's the moment that things got weird, and how did you get through it?
I can't stand it anymore. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
If you want to deep dive into a story that actually has room to breathe, the Side Quests feed is running the Titanic series right now. 10 episodes covering the full arc, the ship, the night, the people, the aftermath. Free subscribers get a condensed cut. Paid subscribers get the full extended version. If you want to help keep both shows going, a paid Substack subscription is the way to do it. Find SideQuest wherever you get your podcasts and at newsidequest.com.
The situation is expected to deteriorate as newscasters whip the city into a panic. Run! Run for your lives!
A security researcher got hacked through his robot lawnmower, which an attacker was able to remotely control, access its cameras, and physically maneuver, including driving it towards him. The attack exploited an unencrypted communications protocol on the device. A machine with a giant spinning blade and no human input is already a conceptually risky appliance, and adding remote access capability to that machine is a choice somebody made. It was not a good choice.
Your confusion is not rational.
A humanoid robot has been ordained as a Buddhist monk in South Korea, taking up residence at a temple where it delivers Dharma talks and leads meditation sessions. I hope it's able to reach enlightenment. The robot's path to nirvana is unclear, but if any being has a shot at detachment from earthly suffering, it's probably one that doesn't have earthly suffering to begin with.
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop. Ever.
A Florida woman came home to find what she thought was a break-in, only to find 2 alligators fighting in her lanai. No humans were harmed. The alligators were relocated. What's the only thing worse than finding an alligator in your house? Finding 2 alligators in your house. Florida continues to be Florida.
Saddle up! Let's get this movable feast underway!
A bear in Gatlinburg, Tennessee was caught on camera attempting to break into a bakery. Tried the door handle, nosed around the entrance, and ultimately didn't make it inside. This is atypical behavior. Bears usually go after picnic baskets in open-air situations, not commercial baked goods in a retail storefront. The bear had apparently developed more sophisticated tastes.
Hey, boo-boo, let's see what we got in this picnic basket.
That's it for today's news side quest. 3 questions for your consideration. The biggest secret you kept from your parents, what sleep deprivation has actually done to you, and the longest you've been stuck with these same people in a confined space, and how that worked out. Email me at newsidequest@gmail.com or hit me up in the Substack comments. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday.